Hello, this is Steffi here with your next art docent program, Artists Paint Trains. Trains were invented during the 19th century, so all of the pictures in this portfolio are fairly recent in the history of world art. Each artist has created a picture in a unique way and has shown us a variety of views of trains. Have you ever visited a railroad museum? Have you ever ridden on a train? How are trains today different from those of the 19th century? The first print we are focused on is a Currier and Ives called American Express Train. Nathaniel Currier lived from 1813 through 1888, and James Ives lived from 1824 to 1895. This Currier and Ives print shows a steam engine puffing across a lovely valley. The black smoke billows out in the sparkling, clean air. A tree stands on the left, and we see a boat far off in the distance on the river. The colors are bright and clear. The people of America were very proud of this wonderful new invention. This is how trains looked in America in the 19th century. Compare this with trains we see today. Notice the cow catcher in front of the engine. Can you see the people on the train? Notice how clear the details are in the part of the train that is closest to us, and how the colors tend to become lighter in the distance. The long curving diagonal of the track creates a feeling of movement. Nathaniel Currier and James Ives became partners in the printing business in 1857. Currier was apprenticed to the first American lithographer when he was 18 and went into the business for himself in 1834. He soon saw the possibilities of using lithographed pictures for the news media. However, it was not until 1857, when he took James Ives as a partner, that the real flood of over 5,000 prints began, and the coverage was extended to include news, sports, transportation, patriotic, juvenile, landscape, and scenes of everyday life. 3 new prints appeared each week until 1875, when the appearance of illustrated magazines and news photos put the partners out of business. Lithographs are made by drawing on a flat stone with special materials, processing the stone, inking it, and then making many prints. Designs for the prints came from many artists. So let's study a little bit more in detail and zoom in, see if you can see some of the people in the train. Maybe we can pan over to the boat in the background as well. Can't zoom in that far. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. I'm still figuring out this camera approach. Here we go. Alright, American Express Train by Currier and Ives. Our next picture is abstract, so a little change up from what we were just looking. Does this look familiar to anyone? This is called Old Locomotive, and it's by Lionel Feininger, who lived from 1871 through 1956. This picture is painted in an abstract cubist manner. Cubism is a style of painting in which the artist takes apart the subject and reassembles it again in mostly geometric shapes. The shapes of the train and the figures are made up of overlapping geometric flat areas. Notice the background colors and how warm and glowing they are. They tend to give us a busy feeling of excitement and noise. The dark shapes of the train and smoke billowing out in cubist puffs contrast sharply with the yellow and orange tones. There are many shapes repeated here. Find the round wheels and the little triangles within them. See all the top hats on the men. The whistle on the train is almost like a little top hat too. The figure in white in the center tends to be the focal point. Why? We also tend to notice the man in blue on the train. The building in the background seems to give this picture a certain amount of depth. If you cover it up, you will see that the picture space seems rather flat and shallow without it. Compare this picture with Monet's and with the Currier and Ives print. We haven't gotten to Monet today. The mood, color, and style are all very different from one another. This artist was born in New York. He was the son of 2 musicians, and he was sent to study music in Germany when he was 16. When he went there, he decided to study art instead, so he moved to Paris. He was influenced by Cubism and showed his paintings with that group of artists. He taught in Germany at the famous Bauhaus School until 1933 when the Nazis closed it. He stayed there, working for a newspaper until 1937 when he moved to the United States. He started an art school in New York, working there until 1956 when he died. Let's study this one a little further in detail. And last but not least, we have what is called Neigh of the Iron Horse. Has anyone ever seen this before? It's by A. Tapie from 1859. Do you know what an iron horse is? When trains became popular as a mode of transportation instead of horses during the 19th century, people called them iron horses because they were made of iron and were taking the place of horses. Here we see a galloping horse in the central dominant part of the composition. His legs are off the ground. His mane and tail are flying as he races towards us. His head is turned back, looking at something in the distance. What is it that he sees and hears? It is a train. Perhaps he has never seen or heard one before. Do you know what the word neigh means? N-E-I-G-H. It is the cry of a horse. It sounds like the word nay, N-A-Y, which means to cast a no vote. So the artist has made a play on words with the title Neigh of the Iron Horse. Notice all the details in the foreground and how the artist repeated the sharp lines of the clumps of grass. He left the sky quite light and empty so that the horse could be seen clearly contrasting against the sky. Notice how things on the far horizon are very light in color. This picture was painted about 1859, and we don't have very much information about the artist. He signed and dated the painting. It was found in West Virginia by some collectors of American primitive painting. Primitive artists have no formal training in art, and they like to use a lot of careful details, along with repeated lines and shapes to create patterns. He had a fine sense of color and understood nature. He could paint realistic space and distance and could show movement and expression. So, Neigh of the Iron Horse. Little play on words. Zoom in on the train a little, see what kind of train. We have quite a few train enthusiasts who live here, so I hope that you have enjoyed today's presentation on Artists Paint Trains, and I hope we're able to see you all out and about soon. Stay well and wash your hands.